Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into Zeal or No Zeal, a new series where we see whether games are worth a purchase or not. Today, up on the chopping block is Kaze and the Wild Masks, an action platformer title published by Sodesco. Did this action platforming game live up to my expectations? Find out in this episode of Zeal or No Zeal. The first thing I want to break down is the story. Flat out, it's not that substantial. There are some brief cutscenes and some unlockable photos that detail the explorable world, but they're not interesting enough to retain my interest. I don't really recommend the game for the story, and I don't think the commentary provided was interesting or intriguing. Still, Kaze and the Wild Masks has a commendable thematic design. Despite not featuring an engaging story, I like the world the developers of Kaze and the Wild Masks created. It featured 4 distinct locales, and I had to navigate a plethora of treacherous obstacles to complete my journey. Each was themed well, boasting lovely personalities. Moreover, the enemies I fought in icy environments embodied my surroundings. For example, one enemy, a sharp carrot, slid down icy slopes as I tried to scale them. I thought it was cute seeing how the different enemies could interact with the environment, and how the developers considered the locations in the design of the enemies. This level of charm was further emphasized by the charming art style and expertly designed music. Each helped me feel right at home in each new environment. Overall, despite the lack of an overarching story, I had plenty of world building to enjoy and explore. Instead, I found myself thoroughly enjoying the way the game played. For starters, I was impressed by how easy it was to get accustomed to the movement. Many of the traditional movement mechanics for the action platformer are prevalent here, such as standard walking and jumping. However, to supplement these, I could leverage a rewarding dash move and slow my descent by spinning my ears. It was cute, and it helped make Kaze feel fun to move around with. The traditional movement mechanics were responsive, but still simple to understand. The simpler mechanics made this game incredibly accessible, especially when compared to games like Super Meat Boy or Super Cable Boy. At no point did I get frustrated and turn off my system. There are plenty of checkpoints, yet the game still pushed me to perform well. Kaze and the Wild Masks strikes an excellent balance between challenge and reward. Kaze and the Wild Masks features a plethora of bonus content and lots of things to work towards as well. This was a major reason behind why the game was so successful at retaining my attention. The whole game featured optional collectibles, new tasks to perform, and ways to encourage elevated experience. There were challenge sections where I had to complete a task within a time limit, incentives to collect, and gemstones throughout a level. They even had a dedicated mode to incentivize me playing through levels quickly. I am not going to say that these are the epitome of challenge, but they were very fun and rewarding. Additionally, the levels themselves are a blast to play through. Each one is well thought out and features plenty of unique and novel ideas. While many of the enemies are reused through many of the levels themselves are refreshing, and the concepts never get old. This is further reinforced by the multiple levels of challenge. Kaze and the Wild Mask feels like a completely different game when I traverse the levels quickly compared to when I was exploring them thoroughly for hidden secrets. I think this puts it in a unique standpoint, where it is engaging to a wide variety of audiences. For example, a game like Gun Devil has exciting challenges and levels, but not the accessibility featured here. On the other hand, a game like Kinduo has challenges that slowly build on top of each other, but it doesn't have that fast, rewarding gameplay to those who desire it. Kaze and the Wild Masks does a great job at both. In addition to the levels, I enjoyed how digestible everything was. Enemies had clear weaknesses, so I knew exactly where to attack and when to avoid. I never felt cheated by an unfair mechanic or a broken element, at least not in Kaze and the Wild Masks. The same thing went for the boss fights. These were so much fun. I enjoyed that they had recognizable patterns, but I never found myself catching on too soon. They were amply challenging, but still understandable. I had fun in each bout. And I can't forget to mention the most distinct element of the game. A bunch of the levels incorporate masks. Power-ups in many games are very popular, as they're an easy way to enhance variety without adjusting too many mechanics. Typically, In general games, like Super Onion Boy 2, these power-ups enhance the abilities of the main character subtly. For example, the main character in that game can sometimes get a projectile shot or gain the ability to transform into a bubble. While the power-ups in Kaze and the Wild Masks function similarly, they alter the gameplay so much more, but they still retain that identity of the main character. There were a bunch of different transformations that I could undergo. So, in addition to my main bunny form, I could be a bird, a dragon, a tiger, or a shark. I like these a lot, as they impacted both the gameplay and they look cool. Each one was flashy, giving me the ability to do something I never would have been able to do if I was still just a bunny. These helped give Kaze and the Wild Mask a personality, and it made the experience so much more memorable. I had a lot of fun experimenting with and exploring these different abilities, especially because the levels were custom built to accommodate them. So, do I think that Kaze and the Wild Mask has Zeal? Absolutely. There's a lot of content, especially if you enjoy perfecting and mastering levels and character abilities. Moreover, the game is distinct. While it clearly has inspirations from other titles, when I was playing Kaze and the Wild Masks, it felt like an experience of its own, not one that can be experienced by playing other games. Finally, I think the game is accessible. This title does an excellent job at remaining simple without diminishing the reward that comes with completion. I think Kaze and the Wild Masks certainly has Zeal, and I would absolutely recommend it.
Thank you so much for watching.